Canada-India relations have recently plunged into a serious diplomatic crisis, with tensions escalating over the alleged involvement of Indian diplomats in the murder of a Sikh activist on Canadian soil. The Canadian government, led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, expelled several high-ranking Indian diplomats, accusing them of having direct links to the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a well-known Sikh separatist leader. Nijjar had been advocating for an independent Sikh state, Khalistan, in northern India, and his activism had made him a target for Indian authorities. Trudeau, in a bold move, claimed that Canadian intelligence had gathered irrefutable evidence implicating Indian officials in the plot to assassinate Nijjar, forcing Canada to take action in the interest of national security. The response from India was swift and aggressive. The Indian government not only denied the allegations but also retaliated by expelling several Canadian diplomats. India's Ministry of External Affairs issued a series of strongly worded statements, dismissing the accusations as preposterous and politically motivated. They accused Canada of providing a safe haven for extremists and promoting an anti-India agenda. India's position was clear. It had nothing to do with the killing, and it viewed Canada's actions as part of a broader campaign to destabilize Indian interests. The diplomatic rhetoric from India was unusually harsh, reflecting just how severe the situation had become. At the heart of the dispute is the figure of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a prominent advocate for Khalistan, who had been vocal in his criticism of the Indian government and its treatment of Sikhs. For India, Nijjar and others like him represent a serious threat to national security. The Indian government has long considered Khalistani separatists to be extremists and terrorists, and it has consistently pressured Canada to crack down on their activities. Canada, however, has allowed figures like Nijjar to operate openly, arguing that it is protecting freedom of expression and political activism. This difference in perspective has been a long-standing source of friction between the two countries. The situation became even more complex when Trudeau claimed that Canada had evidence of Indian diplomats orchestrating Nijjar's murder on Canadian soil. These are extraordinary accusations, not only because they implicate a foreign government in an assassination plot, but also because they suggest that India may have been carrying out extrajudicial killings in a Western country. Trudeau stressed that Canada's primary concern was the safety of its citizens, and that the country would not tolerate foreign governments engaging in such activities within its borders. This position has garnered significant attention and support from Western allies, but it has also led to a deepening of the diplomatic rift with India. India, on the other hand, has been equally adamant in its defense. Indian officials have repeatedly denied any involvement in Nijjar's killing, insisting that the Canadian government has not provided any credible evidence to support its claims. Moreover, India has accused Canada of being overly sympathetic to Sikh separatists and of fostering an environment in which anti-India extremists can thrive. Indian authorities view the issue of Khalistani separatism as a direct threat to national unity, and have long argued that Canada's leniency toward these groups undermines regional stability. In the wake of these allegations, India has also expressed concerns over the safety of its diplomats in Canada, further fueling the diplomatic standoff. This growing crisis has reverberated far beyond Canada and India, drawing international attention to the nature of India's global activities. There have been reports of Indian officials engaging in similar actions elsewhere, including the United States, where there are allegations that Indian operatives may have been involved in plots to target pro-Khalistan activists. These claims have raised serious concerns about India's adherence to international law and its willingness to respect the sovereignty of foreign nations. Western governments are now scrutinizing India more closely, with some even discussing possible repercussions for its alleged state-sponsored actions abroad. The diplomatic fallout between Canada and India has reached unprecedented levels, with neither side willing to back down. Trudeau has stood firm, emphasizing that Canada will always act to protect its citizens, and that these actions were taken in response to clear evidence of wrongdoing. India, meanwhile, has doubled down on its narrative that Canada is harboring dangerous extremists and that the allegations against its diplomats are baseless. As both countries dig in their heels, it seems likely that this crisis will continue to escalate, with potentially far-reaching consequences for their bilateral relations and their standing on the world stage. This dispute is more than just a diplomatic spat. It represents a fundamental clash of values and national interests. For Canada, The issue is about justice, security, and the rule of law. For India, it is about national security, sovereignty, and its ongoing struggle against separatist movements. As the situation unfolds, the question remains whether there will be room for dialogue and diplomacy, or if the current trajectory will lead to a deeper, more entrenched conflict between these two nations.